Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to do a quick rundown on new cc11 players and what they should be aiming for, what sets, companions, everything. So I got this idea from having this account that I'm on right now, and from helping others in the community on the discords, and from other mini accounts I have and joining other alliances and helping them out. I've learned that quite a lot of people don't know what they're doing, not in like a rude way, but they've not been told or helped. So I wanted to create this video as a little helper to those players and to others who may be thinking of going to cc11 or wanting to play the game. So first of all, I will talk about what is cc11. cc11 is the end game. It is the highest command center level you can get to, and it's basically where you unlock absolutely everything. So you get companions unlocked, you get the ability of sets, renovations, and much, much more. And I quickly wanted to tell you guys what sets you should be aiming for as a newer cc11, because if you're going for old, outdated sets, number one, you guys are not going to have fun. Number two, you're wasting your time and resources. And number three, it's going to make you feel bad because you're losing constantly and other things. So sets that I would suggest going for pretty soon, as soon as you get to cc11, my number one all-time set, I would say, is the Snowstorm set, which is found in the arena over here. I would recommend buying the parts and then using the uranium to craft the cores. That would probably be your cheapest and most fastest way of getting it. So that set is a most definite. And for the Snowstorm set, you use the red renovation. From the railroad over here, I would suggest getting the Beastmaster set, which is here. The Templar set is good if used as a hybrid chem, so that could be a decent one to try out as well. From the bunker, there are two that I would suggest, or three really. There's three options you could go for. So, number one, Firewall. Good chem set, a bit outdated now, but good for newer cc11 players. Number two would be the Chameleon set. One of the best Ranger sets, if used correctly. And the Plasmatic Punisher set. This is a decent alternative to the Grim set. Very good infantry set in my opinion. I also posted a set review on this, which I can link in the description below. Tunnels, I would be careful with tunnel sets because you can't get them really easily, but obviously Grim set, get that as fast as you can. And then also there is the Pharaoh set parts available in the crate here, so that would be pretty decent to get pretty soon on, especially because you can't get Desecrator unless you're spending a lot of money. But yeah, those are the kind of the sets that I wanted to touch on really quickly, because those are the sets that you can get probably the fastest in my opinion. And then if we go to the set workshop here, I could also recommend doing small little hybrids. So you've got Phantom PK that you could do. You could also go for sets like Sanjuk in the arena. Bio set, one of the most meta sets you could possibly get. Been around for a long time, still usable. Really relatively easy to get, the parts are from all over. The hardest one would probably be the tunnels parts. Same with the fire starter. Your tunnels one's probably the one that you're going to worry about the most. But other than that, those are the sets that I would recommend getting. And then companions, I would say focus on getting the sets first as a foundation basis, and then focus on getting companions. I know that sounds a bit hypocritical coming from me when I quite literally don't have full sets here, but have two companions. But that's just because I'm playing this account a bit differently. This isn't, me being serious. I've got my main account, like, here. So I don't need to, be super competitive on this account. But one thing I would say is, when being new to CC11, focus heavily on getting good gear and equipment, because one thing I want to quickly touch on is something that loads of people talk about but not many people know about, and that's the difference between power versus strength. Power is the physical number that represents your team. Over here, this can be seen either in the barracks, or it can be seen here, or when you queue up into an arena or any battle, it can be seen. That's just a physical representation. But your strength is completely different to your actual power. Now, this varies depending on where you're at, what gear you have, etc., what sets. So, say if I have something like this, although this is an anomalous item and it provides me with more power, it's useless and it's essentially what most players call fluff power, because it has no special ability and it just basically adds power with no real strength like increase. If anything, it would decrease my strength. Although this device that I'm using is not that good, it would still decrease my strength a lot, especially because it's got no power here, like no actual ability. So if I was to just quickly take off this prototype real quick. So I've got 1,329,000 power with this device here. So then if I take that off and add this, I've got 1,390,000, but it is essentially ineffective in battle, other than just providing power. Let me add that back on real quick. I'll do the prototype later. But yeah, that is essentially a quick little rundown of what power versus strength is. There is also other ways to increase your power but not increase your strength, etc., like chips. I would not recommend going for anything under purple chips. Anything under, not really providing you with much strength, it's just providing you with power. So it's essentially ineffective. Again, the stat increase from a blue compared to a legendary or a purple is hefty, like especially when looking at something like health. The difference here between 1,200, 5,000 or 17,000 is a lot. Yes, it costs more cash to upgrade and implement those onto your gear, but I promise you it's so much more worth it. Another thing is stims. You don't want to add stims onto the wrong fighters. So you here, for example, I'm using a chemist. I do not want to add damage stims to a chemist, because my chemist won't be dealing physical damage, it will be dealing chemical and pure damage. So me adding that would essentially increase my power but decrease my strength, or just like numb my strength out. It wouldn't work at all. If I go into a battle really quickly on the squad challenge here against myself, you will see that none of my chems are doing physical damage. As you can see, it's just chemical and pure damage. There are ways around this, like implementing physical damage gear to make chems do physical damage. However, I would not recommend this. I would recommend just keeping it to the specific unit type. Another is specialization with bacteria. If you're just upgrading one of these at a time, yes, it can increase stats. But if you're increasing the wrong stats and not upgrading the rest of the stims and the bacteria, and getting this middle part upgraded here, it essentially just increases your power but doesn't increase your strength. Another thing would be adding companions onto the wrong characters. You want to, for example, put Frost, which has attributes of adding chemistry knowledge, onto a chem. You wouldn't want to add it onto a tank, for example, because chemistry knowledge on a tank, useless. A tank does not use chemistry knowledge for anything, so unless you've got a gear that randomly does chemistry knowledge damage, you know, it's useless. So I just wouldn't recommend it. Another thing, officer. I want to quickly touch on this because this is very, very key. Now, I believe you unlock the officer at cc8 or 9, but most players make the mistake of using wrong armament parts or upgrading wrong parts of your officer. You don't want to upgrade these bits willy-nilly. There are some parts that are more beneficial to upgrade than others, so health, for example, and then restoring health, increasing physical damage. Those parts are best. And then for your chems, you probably want your chemistry knowledge, your health. There you go. And then for your rangers, you probably want something like your damage and your crit. And your health. Health is definitely key for every single unit. And then for armament parts, I would recommend the field reanimator, unidentified gel, chemist guide, chemical net, chameleon for wars, and then I know a lot of players like using the fake first aid kit. Others like using experimental ammo for no reanimation, like parts in the wars. Tunnel gear, definitely. Railroad gear, definitely. Safety mechanism, lots of players use this. Improved loadout, another good one, especially because it's for arena. Arena champion, again, good for the arena, getting more chips. Detector, good for getting more tags in the tunnels. Charging station, amazing for getting more railroad batteries. And then the bullhorn for getting more influence, all comes in handy. This one, the universal bio block, is good, but conservatory stuff, you know, you're not really getting that much more, because you only get really like 10, 20, maybe 30 from a battle max. Yeah, look, 20. So really getting 5% more of 20, it's not much whatsoever. So really I wouldn't recommend upgrading that one. Renovations as well. I would like to quickly touch on that. There are more meta styles of renovations to go for different sets that I've touched on. So like I said, red for Snowstorm. You want to go red for Firestarter because it's a damage chem set, so you want to add more damage. Firewall, another one that you go red with. Pharaoh, another one that you go red with. Desecrator could be red, or I see a few people running orange. There are a few people that run green as well, but I mean, with this, I would recommend red. Bio, this one, I see a few players using different ones, but the main one is green or orange/yellow, whatever you want to call this. Sanduke, yellow/orange, without a doubt. Beastmaster, I see a few people running green, but the main running is red for it. Plasmatic Punisher, green for the health. And then for other sets like the Grim, we have here, these are the more meta sets. You would definitely go green with Grim. Chameleon, I see a few people running green or yellow/orange. Thunderer, yellow. Star Crusher, yellow. Monk, yellow. Outcast, I see a few people running green or red for this, depending on what hybrid you're using. And that's all I really want to say for that right now. I wouldn't recommend polishing really until you've got all the sets that you need and all the companions that you need. And then upgrade renovation, obviously that comes just naturally as you're playing. You want to upgrade your renovations as high as possible to the max number, which is 10. Other than that, I could say just mainly use gear that caters towards your unit type. You don't want to, you know, like I mentioned before, use something chemistry knowledge based on your tanks or on your rangers. You want to use something that's physical damage based on your tank or your ranger. Especially with field kits too. You want to pair them. MPWs, you want to pair them too. And prototypes, you want to try and get them tested and as meta as you can, because if you have the wrong prototypes on the wrong sets and the wrong units, it can just make you like more powerful in terms of power, but in strength it can decrease your strength. Having the right protos on the right units can increase your strength by tenfold. Just wanted to say thank you all so much for watching this video. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you later.